Okay, so we're on our way to Payback in my backyard of Chicago, Illinois. But we have to do one more stop on the way, and then, of course, is Monday Night Raw. And we begin with Triple H taking on Curtis Axel. And Vince stops the match and awards it to Curtis Axel. And then Triple H restarts the match. And then Vince comes back down and ends the match. And then Triple H restarts the match. And calls it for an Iron Man match. And then Vince comes down and steals the ring bell. So a lot of the night was spent dealing with the Triple H wants to fight Curtis Axel. Vince thinks that Triple H is much bigger than Curtis Axel, with Steph kind of stuck in the middle of them. And ends with them hugging out. It seemed like an awful lot of filler. It just really did. I mean, there's no way around it. That was filler. But I do like the fact that when they're like, this segment's kind of dying, so what we're going to do, we're going to set up the Shield. Dean Ambrose took on Kane in a one-on-one match. Good match, nice match. Ended with this typical Shield run-in. And then they decided that later on, you could vote who you wanted to see take on Daniel Bryan. If you wanted to see be Seth Rollins or Roman Reigns, whoever you didn't pick would take on Randy Orton. So I'll go through those matches. Orton Reigns ended again in no contest. Overall, decent match. And then came the unmitigated match of the night. Daniel Bryan and Seth Rollins. Absolutely tore the house down. Period. Find this match on YouTube, or if you DVR'd Raw, watch this match. This is an insanely good match. This is almost like watching those two guys on Ring of Honor when it was Bryan Danielson and Tyler Black. Just a ridiculously, amazingly solid match. So therefore that means that the pay-per-view at Payback, it is Kane versus Ambrose for the US title, and Orton and Bryan going for the tag belts. I really don't picture any of those titles changing hands. I picture them being really solid matches, but I don't picture the titles currently changing hands. Just don't. They did lots of bizarre product placement for the Hardee's thick burgers with the 6 slices of bacon. So you got to see Vicky Guerrero eat one for a while, which felt like a total waste. Part of the reason why I'm not huge on going to E-shows, especially Raw, is they seem to have a lot of filler. And I'm pretty sure if you spent money to have a ticket in Richmond, Virginia, you sat there and you watched Vicky Guerrero eat a sandwich for a few minutes. And then later on, you watched Jerry the King Lawler stare at a Hardee's thick burger as just random filler. It's just really bad. Fandango recently suffered a concussion, thanks to Zack Ryder. So he's not going to be involved in their triple threat match. So you find out at the end of the Miz-Cody Rhodes match, decent match. Nice solid match. Cody put on a great effort, lost to the figure 4. There's a new participant to make that a 3-way dance. Curtis Axel. So that's Curtis Axel, The Miz, and Wade Barrett. It would be nice to see Axel take this and then have a good feud with somebody like, I don't know, say The Miz. The Miz could be a good starter feud for him to help him really get his feet together, really get his act down, and progress pretty well. Miz, solid in the ring, can help him out a lot. Zeb Coulter was on commentary during the match between Sin Cara and Antonio Cesaro. If you saw their match on Main Event like a month ago, you see a lot of the same spots. You see that really nice flip up into the flipping powerbomb that Cesaro takes from Sin Cara that looks beautiful. And ironically, Cesaro wins this match. I can't recall the last time Cesaro won a match on television. Nice match, good, competitive. It worked very, very well. Caitlyn finally found out who her secret admirer was. It was Big E Langston. Now, if you thought this was going to be his massive face turn that was supposed to happen, no. Instead, it was a massive mind game played by AJ. In probably one of the best diva storytelling moments, AJ talked about how she went from John Cena to CM Punk to this guy to that guy to Kane, how they all used her. And where was her friend at during this time? Chasing the Divas Championship. that she more or less belittles Caitlyn and says the only thing she has that's worth anything is that belt. And that why Caitlyn might beat her in the ring, she can't beat her up here. It was nice, it was creepy, it really put AJ in a fantastic spot. And I think these two might actually have a solid match. I think the last time the Divas belt was defended at a pay-per-view, man, it's been a while. I don't even recall the last time that belt was defended at an actual pay-per-view match. It should be a solid match. It would be great, of course, to see AJ win the title. So I think that her holding the belt and Ziggler holding the belt would put pressure on them trying to either put a belt on Big E, or that could be Big E's reason for the face turn. So speaking of that trio, Jericho was cutting a promo about how he's really looking forward to facing CM Punk. Which, if Punk shows up, looking at that match, both of them really need a win. I think if Punk gets a win, it puts him in a really good spot. I think if Jericho gets the win, it puts Punk in a really great storyline. But I don't picture Punk's return match in his hometown being anything but him being victorious and it being probably the match of the year, period. So Jericho was talking about his match with CM Punk. Ziggler came down, tried to steal his thunder. Jericho was like, well, let's have a match. Alright, you got a match with Big E. Big E is doing a tremendous amount of ring work. He's actually really, really coming into his own. Solid matches with Del Rio, great match with Jericho. Little miscommunication here and there, and Jericho ends up hitting the Codebreaker 1-2-3 on Big E. Solid match, nothing wrong. Big E put on a great match. Trying to leave any matches out. Sandow took on R-Truth. At least Sandow got to win. Sandow's taking on Sheamus, and I think he's like 0-9 against Sheamus. So I'm pretty sure Sheamus will be in the pay-per-view. No real big loss there. So then we had the face-to-face match with Ryback and John Cena with the Lumberjacks around the ring. If you thought this was going to end with Lumberjacks getting in the ring and restraining the two guys, yeah, you've been watching the E for more than a year. Ryback cut a pretty decent promo. And his promos aren't bad. They're not Mark Henry promos, but they're pretty solid promos. And I was really waiting for John Cena to actually maybe cuss at him or do something out of the ordinary. So it was just your standard John Cena. You know, I don't quit, I never give up, I don't surrender. You can't see me, I'll never tap out to anybody. Brrr. Through the 3 stages of Hell match, I look for Cena to win this because that's just what he does. That's why Cena's boring. We saw it with Bobby Lashley, with Umaga or Umanga. We saw it with the Great Khali. The only time people seem to do a real good job against John Cena is if they have tattoos. Batista, very good job against John Cena. Orton, Edge, CM Punk. Tattoos. You need tattoos to beat John Cena. So I picture John Cena to probably end up, defeating Ryback in that match, and it's going to be bland. And if Ryback wins, he'll probably lose the title the next night right away to Cena anyways. Even though dream scenario would be this. Kane doesn't get a belt. Orton and Bryan don't get titles. Ryback defeats John Cena. John Cena takes a small hiatus for a little while. Daniel Bryan makes that leap and goes after Ryback. Daniel Bryan beats Ryback and becomes the WWE champion. The next big pay-per-view, John Cena comes back. John Cena faces Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan gets a John Cena tap in the center of the ring, solidifying himself as the new face of the WWE. Therefore, leading into an amazing summer series that will have Daniel Bryan taking on Jericho, taking on CM Punk, occasionally taking on John Cena, thrown somewhere in that mix. But I don't write for the E.